Katie, I know you have your sources in the palace. Can you walk me through the Princess of Wales' very candid announcement? What do you know about how this all transpired and the reaction?
Well, we understand that this timing was quite deliberate, not as you might expect to quash those many conspiracy theories that were, circulating on the internet and social media platforms and have been for some weeks now, but more because she had had the chance to tell her young children, she's needed this space and time together with William to obviously get their heads around this devastating diagnosis. And because this really comes as the children have broken up from school, they're about to enjoy 3 weeks of the Easter holidays. And therefore, there can be a respite from the media spotlight, and the family can really get away.
Katie, as we saw, there is a lot of interest surrounding the condition of the Princess of Wales. In many ways, Catherine has revealed a lot in this forthright video, but there are still some questions lingering, like her condition and what form of cancer. What's your view on the openness of her announcement and still the very real curiosity most people will have surrounding it?
Well, I think that curiosity is just going to have to take a back seat for the time being. I think we've seen the princess be as authentic, transparent, and vulnerable as anyone might expect her to be. Yes, she is a public person, the most photographed, famous woman in the world, but she has every right to a private life when it comes to her medical health. And she's made it very clear that for the time being, we're not going to hear any more about what type of cancer, what stage. She's been very open that she's going through therapy. We know that this is preventative therapy, and I think we can read all sorts of positive connotations in that. She also says in that video that it was successful surgery. So I think lots of positives to be taken from this. But as you say, unanswered questions. But I think the recent speculation on the internet hasn't really taken into account that she's just a human being in all of this. She's a young woman, a young mother, and wanting and expecting a right to privacy.
Dealing with her diagnosis and the speculation. It was expected she would return from public duties after Easter. Do you now have a sense of what's in store for the Prince and Princess of Wales in the coming days?
My sources at Kensington Palace say that she's actually been well enough during these early weeks of chemotherapy to be picking up emails and getting involved with work. But I think possibly any sort of public outward facing duties might have to be put on the back burner for a while. I think it's a case of wait and see, because we don't know how she's going to respond to this chemotherapy. Some people go through chemotherapy and actually don't suffer from terrible side effects. Some people suffer very badly. So I think it's a case of wait and see, but she's made it clear that her focus, whilst her joy is on her work, her focus is on her recovery.
And as we know, there are now two very prominent members of the royal family fighting cancer. The king, of course, is continuing treatment, and now Catherine. Who do you think will be doing the work for the family?
Well, we find ourselves in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A new monarch, 18 months into his reign, diagnosed with cancer, and the Princess of Wales, two of the most high-profile members of the royal family, and I think it's fair to say the most popular members of the royal family, at a time when the monarchy is looking increasingly slimmed down, almost skeletal. We know it's part of Charles's vision to have a slimmed-down monarchy, but it's looking very vulnerable at the moment indeed. So who does the pressure fall to? Well, I think certainly Queen Camilla, who we've seen pick up the mantle and stand in for the king on numerous occasions, including most recently the Commonwealth Day service, and to the Prince of Wales. But, William's in a very difficult position. He's got to carry on with his duty, and I think he absolutely will do that. We've seen him back at work already. But, all whilst having to worry about Kate and making sure the mother of his children is okay. Family has always come first for the Waleses, and this will be no exception. But of course, there is work to be done. The late Queen said she has to be seen to be believed. We need to see our monarch. We need to see these members of the royal family out and about. Otherwise, they can become irrelevant. They lose that connection with the public. And at this time, they really can't afford to do that.
Katie Nicholl, always appreciate your insight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And today's video statement from Princess Catherine is certainly connecting with people in Britain and around the world, with many commending her for being so direct about such a personal issue. Here's another look.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body, and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support, and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space, and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
Dr. Gill, thanks for joining us. What does preventative chemotherapy look like?
Preventative chemotherapy typically refers to chemotherapy, which is anti-cancer medicine, given after definitive resection or definitive surgery of a cancer. In medical terms, we often refer to it as adjuvant chemotherapy. And the intent is to try to reduce the risk of a cancer that has been removed from coming back, with the intent of trying to eradicate any microscopic residual cancer that may be present.
Okay, so the princess is 42 years old, a relatively young member of the royal family, and her cancer is unspecified. What types of cancer are common in this age range?
So I think the first thing I will say, and I'm sure many Canadians are feeling this, is that, we wish Princess Kate, a full recovery. Cancer is hard at any age, but particularly at a younger age, and for someone who also has a young family, I think it really hits home for many people what she may be going through. Abdominal surgery is a very sort of obviously general term, and we don't have any specifics of the type of cancer that Princess Kate has been diagnosed with. When we think about common things being common within the abdominal cavity, the most common cancers one thinks of is colorectal cancer, which is the third leading cause of cancer in men and women. But other possibilities may include things like a gynecological cancer, potentially a uterine cancer, or things like gallbladder cancer.
Now, I know you're not a royal commentator, but many people were speculating where the Princess of Wales has been. For those who are undergoing early cancer treatment, what difficulties might have caused Kate to stay away from the public eye?
Well, a diagnosis of cancer is a life-altering diagnosis, and I think we can imagine the time it takes to process that and the personal time that's needed to accept that diagnosis, let alone the time that's needed to be able to share that with your family and with your children. So I think it's entirely understandable that she would have retracted from the public eye to take that time to absorb the diagnosis. So that, combined with the time that's typically required for recovery from any surgery, would also have required her to take more personal time.
Now, Catherine had an abdominal surgery in January, but was told at the time that her condition was non-cancerous. What are some challenges of detecting cancer?
So I think this is a circumstance where it sounds like she went in for a planned surgery for something that was not expected to be cancerous, or in medical terms, we would say benign. But following resection and likely on further examination, a cancer was incidentally found. That is not uncommon, that can happen. And so, in that circumstance, I think once a cancer has been diagnosed, and in this case has been surgically removed, the next question becomes, well, what additional treatment is required? And in this case, Princess Kate has commented that she's commenced on preventative or adjuvant chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Gill, when there is a public case like this, a lot of people start to look at their own health. What should people be aware of?
So, cancer affects, I think, everyone. Either we know someone who's been diagnosed with cancer, or we've been personally affected by cancer. In Canada, our lifetime risk of developing colorectal cancer is 1 in 15, for example. Our lifetime risk of developing any cancer is almost 1 in 2. So I think when we hear of someone in the public eye sharing their personal story, I think the first thing I would say is I applaud Princess Kate for sharing that. It allows for the conversation to happen. It allows for people to become more aware of the reality that cancer can affect us all. And the other thing is that we need to be introspective about our own health assessment, understanding our risk of cancer, understanding our family risk, having conversations with our primary care providers about what needs to be done in terms of screening, and also enabling preventative and protective lifestyle factors like exercise, a healthy diet, and again, really being vigilant about symptoms.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.